So action-wise, not as much going on in your first deployment as you anticipated?
Well, it ended up being action, but just weird,
Yeah.
different action. Like it's just not what I expected. I was ready to go do what I'd been training for. You know, I'm like, let's go
Run and gun.
get guys. And then I was like in a completely different world. But it was like you're still running around Afghanistan every day, and now it's like not in the way that you were
Any sort of, like
expecting.
any bullets go by you?
Yeah, but I don't even think they were intended at me. Like we'd be like somewhere and be like, just shooting breaks out, and we're like, oh, we're in the middle of an operation here. You know, it's like
Gotcha.
I'm hidden in the back of a truck with like just a gun port. And I'm like, okay, if it comes this way, this is our contact drill. We break it. But like one of the craziest things is there's a buddy there who used to be in our unit, and he had opened like, I wouldn't call it an Airbnb, but he had a building where he housed like embassy overflow and stuff, and it was like a secure compound, relatively speaking, and he had a restaurant and a bar and stuff. So we'd gone over, we made that connection as soon as we got there, and one day,
Just a random.
well, he was like he was a guy from our unit, so we knew he was in Afghanistan. We knew he'd opened a business in Kabul.
So he's no longer actually.
No, he was no
active
longer
military.
active. No,
Yeah.
but we'd gone to his place a few times.
It wasn't like an active guy with a side hustle.
No. Which would have been brilliant. So he became our buddy. I'd never met him before that, but we were having a barbecue one day, and we did like a barbecue once a week, and we'd invite like other team guys over or other intelligence agency people to like the house in the city that we lived in. We were doing a barbecue, and I'm like, okay, well, let's go get the barbecue buns. Let's go get the stuff. So we're driving downtown. I was like, oh, this store, there's a better one down the block. I saw some better barbecue, some hamburger buns down there. So we skipped the store, close to our house, and we go to this one, get the buns, get back to our house, and we hear like chaos. And now it's pretty close. And you're used to hearing stuff in Afghanistan. There's always stuff blowing up, gunfire or whatever. This was like close. And then we got a call from him, and he's like, it was very unclear. He's like, I need your help. Don't let them take me. I'm stuck right now. And we're like, what the hell? There's just one of our guys. I'm like, well, what'd he say? Where is he? Like, I don't know. And then he calls back again. He's like, I'm at this store. And so we're like, what he ended up telling us was like, he'd been shot. And he's like, come and get me before whoever else kind of comes to get me. And it ended up being at that grocery store that we just like bypassed down the block. And two guys went in, and I think it was, they were throwing out hand grenades first, and then they were shooting. And I think one of them like blew himself up in this store, and he was in the back. And he was just like shopping, and he like engaged one of the guys with his pistol. He ended up getting shot, I think a couple times. The whole store blew up. And so once we kind of got that information out of him, we run out the door, just a quick plan. And I remember so wild. Like I ran into the store, and I had like a little Indiana Jones satchel. It just had like a med kit in it, a couple of DDs and frags, and like I had my pistol. Long gun was in the truck, and I went in, and it was just like this fresh, exploded grocery store. You know what I mean? So it's like blood on the street. And it smells all kinds of smells, and he wasn't in there. And then we were like, okay, well, you go this way, this way, this way. We kind of split up in two-man teams. I'm like running down the street, trying to find where he is. So it was like, I didn't expect that to happen. Something like that, like a grocery store attack, and then a friend's in there, and now we're running down the streets looking for. It was like not something we really trained for.
Yeah.
So it was things like that, and there's always,
So how did it end?
So yeah, sorry, just leave you hanging. Dun, dun, dun. So there ended up being there was another Canadian guy there working with like, I can't remember what he was working with, some NGO or something, and he ended up finding him as they were like he had made his way out of the grocery store. So we got all the story afterwards. He'd made his way out of the grocery store and down the block, and he was like, because he called again. He's like, I'm between these two vehicles, and I'm like, oh my god! There's like, look for a white Toyota in Afghanistan. I'm like running down the street, and I guess he ended up another Canadian that was there with another agency had like found him on the street and they got in an ambulance, like went to the local hospital,
Gotcha.
and then ended up moving, I think, to what was the base there, like Kaya or whatever it was called, near the airport. But yeah, so he was found, and we're like, okay, good, and we kind of went back to our barbecue, and just like, well, it's a Friday or whatever day it was,
Dang.
debriefed it, but it was like, because you're in a big city like that, there's just so much, and there would be, there's always like some vehicle blowing up in this alley or mall, or someone got hit over here, and you're just in it, and you're just trying to do this like little piece of your job, but
Right.
you're in a chaotic city.
Yeah.
So like you plan every operation. We're like, okay, we're going to do it over here, because it's very like specific to where you're going to do it. If you're like, look, we're going to tell the source to pick up his phone on this corner, walk down this alley, turn right, get on a motorbike, go down under this bridge, across this bridge, and get in a van. Like, you can't just do that anywhere. Like, it all has to be, you have to do the reconnaissance first. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So if like something happened in that area, like, oh shit, okay, we got to move it to wherever the backup place was, or just like the completely different side of the city, or tell him, can he meet tomorrow? And if not, then, so it was interesting.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.